Oh, I didn't get an error message this time. Hey. And now we're live on YouTube. Hopefully, no funny sounds. And now we're live on YouTube. Yeah, cool. So I'll change the website and stuff. So please carry on.
Okay, well, we have 4 minutes before we start. So. Sasha,
Is anybody else joining? Or is it just us?
I have no idea.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Peppa Pig.
She can't hear you.
I can.
She can.
We heard it.
She's adorable.
No, she also said something else. Did you know what she said? No. She said, "Hi, I'm Peppa Pig."
Hi, I'm George Pig. I'm a pig.
It's so funny hearing you say that.
Why is that funny and when I say it, not funny when you say it?
Yeah. Why is it not funny?
What's your name and how old are
And
you?
you can't see us. So this will be a good thing.
Why, Clara?
I'm still finding a reason why it's funny when you say it and not when I say it. Oh, because you're not a girl. So, wait, no, Peppa is gender fluid. Never mind.
Hey, that's sexist.
No,
How
but
can Peppa not be a boy?
no. But Peppa is voiced by a girl, you know.
Yeah, but why can't a boy actor play Peppa?
Yeah.
I
Peppa Pig. George Pig. Ha ha. Mommy Pig. Ha ha. Oh!
The last one.
Yeah.
You guys know we're live, right?
Yeah.
Marcelo, how many people are watching?
0, because I haven't updated the link yet.
Okay, good. Imagine if someone just came on and then when Mark was snorting and then they'd just be like, "What is this?"
What do you want?
Let me just
see. What do you want for tea, Mark? Mark, what do you want for tea? What do you want?
Let me just
see. What do you want for tea, Mark?
Okay, so now you're going live, huh? So no more snorting. Oink, oink.
Okay. So we weren't officially live yet.
No. It is being recorded though, so you can send it to all your friends if you want to have the copy of the clip.
Oh, wow. Yeah, all my friends want to see me snort.
Can I have a copy of the clip, please? I just wanna keep that Mark snorting.
You need to have his written signed authorization with parental consent, but yeah, good luck doing that.
No, if you give me yours of you snorting, I'll give you mine.
Mine was, wait.
You also snorted.
All right, I did.
And guys, the other thing is that if you don't want to have your video turned on for privacy reasons while it's live streaming, it's totally fine for the teenagers. I mean, just being on audio. And I'm on audio only because I'm moving every 5 seconds doing something different. But, if you're okay with being a live stream and potentially appearing on the clip, the one thing you can do is to remove any of you from the clip and just keep the audio before publish on the YouTube. So really,
so it won't be. But if it's live streamed, everybody can see it, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not recorded, and in principle, you cannot really save it. So if it's live stream and you're not comfortable having your face out there, then join audio only. If you're okay and your parents are okay, but you don't want to be on the YouTube clips, like the once we get to publish on the channel, we can remove the parts when you appear. And just kind of
It's
a
8 o'clock.
reminder. But it's 5 o'clock here now, so 8 o'clock in California, and it's showtime.
Okay. So shall we get started?
Wait, Marcelo, is it already streaming now?
Now it is.
It is. Okay, well, I guess I will get us started. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Neo Way, our second edition. We held our pilot conference last month. It was a big success, so we're excited to be back again this month with some really amazing speakers. We're already 1/4 of the way through this month's Neo Way. The Singapore session happened last night, and now we're going to continue with the North American session. My name is Isabel Myers-Staff, and I am here to kick this session off. So a little bit of background on me. I'm a member of the Neo Way squad, and I've been helping to organize this conference. I'm here to kick us off today and provide a quick introduction to Alexi and Natasha Staff, who will spend a few minutes talking about their experience with the Way organization, which stands for Wisdom Accelerator for Youth. So I'm based in Santa Barbara, and I work in a tech company locally. I'm originally from France, and English is actually my second language, as I moved to Santa Barbara at a very young age. I'm trained as an engineer, but I made the switch to the business side early in my career, and I'm looking to use my background to grow businesses in the tech field. So I have 3 kids, 2 of whom are on this call. Alexi is 15 and Natasha is 13, and Alina, our third, is 12, and actually she is on the call as well. A few years ago, we learned about this program called the Wisdom Accelerator for Youth, which we call Way. Way was launching a program for teens, limited to about 15 from all over the world, to spend the week of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, participating in sessions and learning about big topics in the world. Alexi, who was 13 at the time, applied to participate in the inaugural program, and he was accepted. At the time, we shipped him off on his own, and he had a chaperone waiting for him in Zurich, who welcomed him and accompanied him to Davos, where he spent an amazing week meeting new people and attending interesting sessions. He came back full of energy and stories, but I'll let him tell you about that in a minute. So over the following year, we talked often about his experience, what it motivated him to do. He decided to apply to an entrepreneurship program to learn more about how he could take his learnings and apply them in the real world. Then Davos 2020 was approaching, and he showed interest in attending again. He reached out to one of the organizers, Marcelo, who is on the call as well with us today, about attending again. And I'll let him tell you all about that. At the time, his sister Natasha, who was reaching the same age that Alexi had been at the time of the first session, also applied. And long story short, with 2 teens accepted into the program, I was recruited as a chaperone. So off we went. We attended Way 2020 together and had such a unique experience. Again, I'm going to let them tell you about the details of what we did. I just want to chime in briefly and just say that I made some amazing friends among the organizers, speakers, and other chaperones. And these are all people that I'm still in touch with today. So after that week full of experiences, we all went back to our normal worlds. But as you all know, it's not normal anymore. You've all likely observed that. So during our time back, we've heard of many ways that Way participants have been up to making impact since they came back. Some have been involved in big projects, others have built businesses, some are looking for ways to help people through COVID-19 impacts as well. And during this time, there had been plans to have the next edition of the Way conference in person in Singapore, as the plan was never just to limit it to Davos. But of course, with the COVID-19 situation, it became clear that we'd not be able to hold the conference in person in Asia. So Marcelo reached out a few months ago about bringing this event global and going virtual. We knew that we wanted to be involved. We wanted to spread the knowledge beyond the small group that we met in Davos, and that is why we are all here today. So with that, I am going to let Alexi and Natasha take it from here. I'm actually going to share a little presentation they've put together. So let me just share my screen here for a minute. And at the end, we will definitely open up for some questions. So if you have questions, I'll let Natasha and Alexi take it away and we'll answer them as we go. So here we go. Alexi and Natasha, all yours. Alexi's still muted. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, no. Okay, our experience at Davos.
I was lucky enough to be a part of the inaugural Away group. I attended this amazing event in January 2019. I made amazing friends and connections and had a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I was wondering how to make it a twice-in-a-lifetime experience. So in late 2019, I reached back out to Marcelo and asked if it was possible to participate again. He interviewed me and got a sense of what my motivations were. He said, "We've never tested anyone coming back, so why not?"
In the meantime, I had heard all about Alexi's experience at Way. He came back and told me he had met so many amazing speakers and learned so much. It made me want to go too. So we talked about asking whether it would be possible to bring a sibling. Marcelo interviewed me, then he said, "We've never tested having a sibling, so why not?" We're both fortunate to have our unique Davos experience through Way. Walking through the streets of Davos, there are no kids, no teenagers, except for us. Let's talk a little bit about what the program looked like for us.
Okay. First, let's talk about Davos. Davos is a town in Switzerland. Every year, it hosts a World Economic Forum, WEF, which is a meeting where political, business, and academic leaders talk about how to improve the state of the world. During that week, the whole town of Davos, which is located about 3 hours from Zurich by train, shuts down. All the shops convert into meeting areas branded by big companies. In these meeting spaces, leaders from all over the world come together and discuss big topics. This past year, some big topics included gender equality and how to impact climate change.
The Way Davos program is a program that groups about 15 teens each year that go to Davos during the World Economic Forum. The group attends some of the open forums that are organized. Outside of these activities, we have a packed schedule with speakers, outdoor activities, and team building time. The speakers come and talk to the group about their expertise and as well as their experiences in the world and teach us about important topics. The outdoor activities are all about learning practical skills like avalanche survival or building igloos.
The purpose of the Wisdom Accelerator for Youth is to help kids reach the goal of empowering children to better prepare them for the future, regardless of their cultural, economic, and spiritual background. The program is built to help teach kids, but there's no formal deliverables, just an expectation that kids and teens will come together, participate thoughtfully in projects and lectures, and then go back to their day-to-day with more wisdom based on what they learned.
A typical day. Each day is very structured. We all live in dorms together with separate rooms for the teens and chaperones. The dorm is located above Davos, and you have to take a gondola to get there. It's like a bed and breakfast because there's a restaurant attached to it. In the morning, we start with breakfast all together in order to have everyone's undivided attention in the afternoon of the speakers. All the participants get to do an activity in the morning. Since it's during the winter, most of the activities are snow activities. This year, some of the activities we got to do were sledging, avalanche training, cross-country skiing, and snow survival.
After the activity, we have lunch together. We then go into a classroom and start the talk from various experts from all over the world. After the lectures, we have dinner together and then resume more lectures in the evening, usually over Skype to get access to people from all over the world.
On some evenings, we take the gondola down to town and attend open forums or walk around the city to observe what is happening.
Open forums are meetings that are open to the public. They don't consist of presidents, rather of activists or famous people who are known for a cause. There is always one interviewer and 2 or more panelists. Sometimes singers and YouTubers are part of them, like will.i.am this year, who spoke about activism. Last year, the open forum had Jane Goodall.
At this year's open forum, we got to ask questions and take pictures with the speakers. Our group was also interviewed for a Finnish newspaper.
Every day in the afternoon, we have multiple speakers. They come from all different businesses. They all are very interesting, and you get to learn a lot from them. They tell you how to get through what have been roadblocks for them and much more. We take notes and ask questions. We have many team activities, and sometimes we are put on the spot to answer their questions. This past year, we got to meet some amazing people, and the takeaways span many different areas, sometimes more practical and other times more theoretical.
One of them taught us about design thinking. Another one took us through how to create our LinkedIn profile. Some of the speakers are there for the World Economic Forum, so they come up the gondola to meet us. Others dial in through a Skype session from wherever they are.
The people you will meet at Davos are people that you become pretty close with and will continue to communicate with after you get home. I'm still in regular contact with the friends I met at Way 2019 more than a year later, and even though we all live all over the world.
We keep in touch through a WhatsApp chat, and talk regularly. On top of there being many new friends made, you will meet a couple of adults that are part of the Way who can become mentors.
On the last day of WEF this year, we were on our way to Davos for a talk. During our walk from the gondola, we learned that Greta Thunberg was organizing a protest against climate change in a small square in Davos. We decided to skip the talk and wait for Greta. After about 30 minutes, she arrived and we were part of the group for her protest. It was an amazing experience, and many of us were then interviewed by news reporters from around the world. Later, we saw ourselves on TV online with Greta.
At the end of the program, we have a small ceremony and are awarded certificates. And then we have to say bye to all of the amazing people we met. We are both so thankful to have been part of the Way program and look forward to building this out all over the world. Do you have any questions for us in our experiences at Way in Davos?
Maybe Mark, you have any questions? Because I'm assuming you'd like to consider going there.
Not really. It was the same presentation as last time, so I pretty much already knew most of it. So
I have a question. How cold was it in Davos in January?
Some days they got pretty cold, but most days it wasn't too cold.
Sometimes
Yeah,
it's
sometimes
minus 20.
some days you could.
One day when we went avalanche training, it was really cold, but other than that, it like down in the town, it wasn't too cold.
Where were some of, oh, sorry, Alexi, go for it. Go ahead.
Like some days, like you could basically just be wearing a sweatshirt. Like it wasn't cold.
Okay. And so tell us about some of the country, where the other teams came from. What countries did they come from?
There's a lot of people from Shanghai, Singapore, and then the United States, so Santa Barbara and Connecticut.
And what
West.
about the 2019, Alexi? What countries were represented then?
Finland, Singapore, China, Spain, Germany, and the US.
Okay. So what do you think will happen in 2021? Maybe that's more of a question for Marcelo.
Yeah, you may have some birds singing in the background. Hope it is not too loud. So 2021, the latest and greatest that I've heard in terms of what the World Economic Forum wants to do is to go ahead with the event, which is actually quite a big deal considering the situation. But they will definitely do something. They just know exactly what it is. Usually they have 3,000 official participants that get invited to go to the big Congress, plus thousands of unofficial participants. Some of them have been invited in the past and they liked it so much that they want to come back. Some of them just like the idea and they want to develop their networks and give some value back to the whole group. What I think is going to happen is that they'll for sure have a hybrid approach of having lots of virtual sessions in case they need to do a very, very small event, which is what the United Nations decided to do this coming September during their General Assembly, right? In which the countries are only sending very few representatives who will be inside the UN building, but everybody else is joining via conference calls. So it's likely to be that kind of approach. And if things do get a lot better, then they'll have more people coming and joining. And the idea for us is to do exactly the same thing that it did in the last 2 years, because our group is so small. It's very unlikely would be forbidden to organize what to do. In this case, with the government regulations, they in fact just went almost back to normal in Switzerland. You can now have meetings with more than 1,000 people in the country with certain conditions. And unless you have a really bad second wave, it's very unlikely that it will prevent us from having 50 people put together. So this is mainly good news for us, but let's see what happens overall in terms of the WEF event. But we'll have amazing speakers there for sure, and they can always join us via Skype, as we've done so many times in the past. So it's pretty much, is quite comfortable at this stage to say that we'll have a similar session and just as much fun and as much learning as we had the first 2 times.
Great, awesome. Well, thanks everybody for your thank you, Alexi, Natasha, for the presentation, and thank you for the time slot, Marcelo. I think we are ready to move on.
That's great, because you have Giovanna. She's here already. Hi, Giovanna. You may want to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yeah, and you are now co-host. So if you want to share something with us, if you have any screens, you should be able to do that. So I never had a chance to meet Giovanna in person. She came recommended by Monique Morrow, who was a speaker last time, and I'll let her introduce herself. But she has a really, really powerful story in terms of difficulties as a child and how she overcame those. And I'll let her carry on and tell us more about how she heard about WAY, why she wanted to speak here, and then share her story. So the floor is yours.
Okay, well, thank you for this opportunity. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey, a personal journey about my life, some of the challenges I have faced and how I have overcome them. So firstly, I am 15 years old. My mother's Brazilian and my father's Persian and English. I was born in Durban, South Africa, and I now live in New York, which is a historic city in the United Kingdom. I have been here since 2013. And as a child growing up in South Africa, I was misdiagnosed with meningitis and encephalitis at the age of 2.5. And this had a devastating impact on my early childhood, especially during the critical learning stages from 2.5 to 6 years old. Let's get into more detail. So initially, the doctors thought I had a sore throat, thinking I had a cerebralitis, a condition that you lose your movement only and you get better after a month. I went in and out of the hospital for a number of days as my condition worsened. But the reality was I had meningitis, which resulted in losing my hearing and becoming profoundly deaf. This was only discovered when I traveled to Brazil, and the doctors couldn't figure out the reason that I was paralyzed for 2 months. One day, my grandfather tapped a glass with a fork when having breakfast, as I did not respond to sound. And I didn't react physically, and that's the reason he told my mother, something is not right with Giovanna. So my mother banged 2 pans at the back of me. I did not hear or turn. She took me to the doctor straight away. And I remember very vaguely the rush and the car journey, and truly I was clueless of what was going on. But then the result came very quickly from the doctors, and that was because I was 100% profoundly deaf, which meant that the only thing I would be able to hear at all was the noise of a plane's engine when close. So what really was my solution? I had a choice of remaining profoundly deaf, or the alternative was to have a cochlear implant. And of course, my parents chose the cochlear implant option, wanting me to grow up in a normal environment similar to the majority of other children, knowing that possibly I could never speak again. You may be wondering what a cochlear implant is, so I'm going to explain it to you. They are simply computers in my brain that are surgically implanted into my damaged cochlea, which is stimulated to restore my hearing. These implants provide sound signals to the brain with patients who have moderate to profound hearing loss. The surgery itself took approximately 8 hours for each ear, and the surgery was performed 6 months apart. And as you can imagine, it was a traumatic experience. However, when I reflect on the past, I can honestly say there are far more positive impacts which outweigh the negatives. One question I am often asked is, do I hear like everybody else? It is complicated, but I can distinguish between a female voice and a male voice. I have been told that I hear computer voices, which is very different from what everyone else hears. And I have no recollection of what it was like to hear before my first operation. And I was obviously too young. If I was older when I lost my hearing, I would be able to differentiate between what I hear now and what I heard before. But of course, I was 2 years old, so I do not remember the differences. Another problem that I face is playing sports. I had to be very careful since I was a child on what sport I played and how I played it. An example of sports that I have to become aware of is swimming. When I was living in South Africa, I used to love swimming, and I used to be an active member of the swimming teams and swimming in a number of competitions. When I swim, I must remove the external processes from my head, and then I'm unable to hear. But unfortunately, I used to become frustrated that I couldn't hear like everybody else, and it was difficult to compete without a visual aid. This often meant that I was unable to compete effectively, and I often felt slightly embarrassed because I used to do different strokes in different competitions. Therefore, I stopped competing and concentrated on other sports. Another problem with sports, such as trampolining, is that the external processes can fall and get behind and get damaged. So I have to be careful in many ways. Currently, I love playing hockey, and to protect my head, I wear a protective headband. And I try and participate in as much sport as I possibly can, as it's great not only for the physical health, but also mental health. And now, the worst part, which I honestly hate each and every year, is that I have to travel to the hospital to regulate the implants, which are known as mapping. I find it so annoying because you have these mini tests, and every time you have to press different buttons depending on the sounds you are hearing. And this is important to ensure that the electrodes in the artificial cochlea are mapped correctly and functioning properly. I have been going to the hospital for mapping every year since my implants. And I'm very fortunate to be able to go for mapping, especially in the UK, as the service is freely available on the national health system, whereas in other countries it is incredibly expensive. Approximately every 5 years, a new model from Cochlear is launched on the market with many more features, and I'll be getting this upgrade next year. It will be interesting to see how cochlear implants are going to change in the future in terms of size and appearance, and especially with technology advancing at a rapid pace. It is very exciting to see how this technology develops in the future. What I have today will be a thing of the past, and I'm sure I will no longer need to visit the hospital. The one good thing about the cochlear implants is when you have an argument with an annoying sibling, you can just remove the external processors and you won't hear anything. But what really were my challenges? Firstly, when I had my first implant, I encountered many difficulties in terms of learning and speaking, especially at a young age of 2.5, where the grasp of any language is so critical. The difficulty resulted in me starting to speak at the age of 7. This was not fluently, but you can understand what I was saying. In fact, during my childhood, I spent most of the time undergoing intensive speech therapy. It was very stressful for my parents, especially because they didn't know if I would talk again. However, this is an example of what my dad always used to say: practice makes perfect. When life brings you down, you have to push yourself even harder to get back up again. In addition, during this period of time, my mother had owned a very popular clothes shop. She was always busy purchasing clothes from Brazil and running her business, but she decided to stop her business in order for her to dedicate her time and effort on ensuring I would be able to live a normal life and communicate like everyone else. And as I got older, I realized that family support is crucial when facing such difficulties, and overcoming these problems requires the help and experience of others. My mum always assured me that I would overcome many of the difficulties that I experienced, and with her hard work, it made a huge difference in my life. And it's like courage is not something that you already have that makes you brave when the tough time starts. Courage is what you've earned when you've been through the tough times, and you discover they aren't so tough after all. On the other hand, my dad was always working and traveling, but that didn't mean he didn't help me. It was his words that he used to say that impacted who I am today, such as teaching me that failure and mistakes are part of our learning experience, with the phrase that I used to hear on numerous occasions. He always used to tell me when I made an error at something that mistakes are fascinating. Words are so powerful as they have energy and power to inspire people. So please, please use them wisely. Another challenge that I faced was accessing education. It was very hard to be accepted into a mainstream school in South Africa. I faced numerous barriers as a child, as many schools thought I would not cope with the academic regard of a normal school. Many of the schools recommended to my parents that I should be enrolled with a school with learning difficulties. However, my parents always refused and believed that I had the ability to pursue my studies in a normal environment. And I am truly grateful to them. Therefore, they tried another school, which surprisingly gave me the opportunity to do a test. Finally, I felt like there was some light at the end of the tunnel. I remember having to accomplish a rather complicated puzzle for a 5-year-old. However, I managed to do it in a few seconds, and the headmaster was shocked, confirming to my mother I was an intelligent girl. So they gave me the opportunity to start my academic life at this school. I believe even from today, life is full of different views and opinions. There are so many misconceptions of disabled people. And disability does not mean there is no ability. And as a few years passed, I continued to learn and my speech improved. I tended to enjoy reading and not watching TV. And I played with a lot of educational toys and carried on life like any other child. In December 2012, my parents took me to the UK. My grandparents had a house in the north of England, and we as a family were exploring the whole area. It was cold, but a really amazing experience. And during this time, we ended up seeing a private school called Queen Elizabeth Collegiate. And we were given the opportunity to tour around the college and welcomed into the school, even though we didn't have an appointment. And we were so amazed at how beautiful it was, as well as being incredibly diverse with children from all over the world. I was very pleased with the opportunity to be accepted into this school. And then when we returned to South Africa, within a few weeks, we decided to move to the UK, which was a very drastic change for me. I remember crying so much and persuading my parents to let me stay in South Africa. But my family, especially my brother, always liked to explore and make dramatic changes. And then I started the UK school in year 4, which was when I was 8 years old. And I am currently studying in year 10, and I have been head girl twice at both primary and secondary school, as well as accomplishing many academic prizes. The school has really pushed me to go the extra mile in all my work. And we all have these dreams, and these dreams are not impossible. But if we want them possible, we have to put effort and determination. My dream is to continue my studies when I leave school and pursue a career in mathematics and economics. I enjoy working with diverse cultures and people from a variety of backgrounds. And at this present moment, as well as focusing on my GCSE examinations, I am involved in a number of projects such as the Zarabini Foundation, which is an NGO and nonprofit organization created by me and my brother, aiming to fight education inequality in developing countries, such as Brazil and Africa. We provide education to those who need it most by doing online videos, chats, and one-to-one tutoring. And through all our endeavors, we hope to make a difference and a positive impact. Finally, one last message I would like to share with you. We have great challenges and great opportunities. That is a key definition of life. Learn to accept failure or mistakes and push yourself even further to reach success. If you have any questions now that you would like to know, it could possibly be that you want to know about what my processes look like or about the foundation.
Thanks, Giovanna. That was really great. Wonderful story. Should be sharing that with the world and other conferences as well. So what I suggest is that you can propose a couple of topics as you have done. And if you don't have any questions, you just carry on talking about those topics. So we have a little bit of an extended presentation.
Yes.
Or if you don't know anyone here, so it's a bit trickier for you. But for instance, Giordano has a Polish name, but he is actually Brazilian. So you could ask him because then he can talk about the experience of children in Brazil with disabilities that had problems. So that's just giving you ideas, but please, it's your session, so do whatever you feel like you would like to do.
Yeah. Also, loads of people ask me how I inspire people. And I inspire people by my efforts. And I've always had to give extra to achieve due to the fact that learning was so difficult for me, because sometimes a teacher would be so far apart that I couldn't hear. And this means like paying more attention, doing extra activities to help me. And since I was a child, I always do extra homework, or you could say extensions. And by doing this, it gave me passion to move on with life and show that you are capable of doing anything. And trust me, like effort is the key to strive, no matter about the circumstances. And another question as well is how I overcome my disability. Because at such a young age, we're so like, we always think about what others think. And I overcome this by thinking positive. And especially when you achieve something like achieving achievements, it gives more motivation and confidence in yourself. And during that period of time, I always felt embarrassed about having a disability because I always used to wear a ponytail and it would show my processes. And I always thought that I would not have friends, and I was actually wrong. Um, so I always felt embarrassed about having a disability, and that meant that my self-confidence needed to improve. And therefore, mentally, I had to change. I believe like we all have to have a positive thinking, because honestly, some days we just feel so drowned, especially during this crisis, and we just want to collapse. But if we have a strong mental mind, it all changes. And also, just to be specific on the speech therapist, I used to go 3 times a week and I used to play with these toys every time to help my speech. And I remember that I couldn't talk as well, which was, yeah, very challenging. But yeah, for the Zarabini Foundation as well, it's a wonderful opportunity for those in Brazil, because those who are disadvantaged, because we are currently tutoring 5 students, as it was founded in 2020, so it's quite an early NGO, but we are starting the foundation and doing everything. And we're currently tutoring 5 students, and they are absolutely loving it because they don't have access to education, and we are providing that with no charge at all, which is very rare in like normal organizations for tutoring. And we would like to expand it, in fact, to United Kingdom, where people in state schools who are disadvantaged because they don't have online technology, whereas we don't have online technology. And we're doing this in many ways. And currently for these 5 students, we have done it by Zoom calls, and they're really enjoying it. Are you sure guys don't have any questions?
My question is, in your 5 students, they are from Brazil and South Africa?
No, they're from Brazil.
Just from Brazil?
Yeah, just from Brazil.
You know which state they are from?
They're from São Paulo, but you know favelas?
Yes, I know.
Yeah, they live there.
Oh, you know which one? Because their names are very famous here.
No, I don't know, in fact, the names. Sorry. But one is called Johnny, one is called Talita.
Oh, there's any way I can help this foundation?
Yeah, sure. You can contact in my email if you want.
Okay.
Do you want me to give you my email?
You can send
you
it.
can send me a message in the chat Zoom chat.
Sure.
Yeah, either private or to the whole group.
Oh yeah.
And Jordana, the one thing you can do is that in Brazil there are lots of foundations that help deaf people, hard of hearing, the blind. So my mother in Rio used to read to the blind in one of those institutions, but they're not very famous. Like only people who have the issues, they figure out that such things exist. So the one thing you can do is to try to understand which foundations exist in São Paulo, where you're living, and how we can help Giovanna scale what she's doing to, instead of helping 5 kids, helping 50, 500, 5,000 right? By giving Zoom tutoring classes and getting more people to come and
Yes.
help, especially, you have to speak Portuguese. So Giovanna, how do you do that? You speak Portuguese as well?
Yes, I speak Portuguese. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oi.
So you can chat to Giordano in the session later. Guys, if you don't have any more questions, now it's play break. So Giovanni, you're most welcome to come and play with the other kids in the group, even though you're a speaker this time. I'm sure you enjoy playing those games as well. Any additional points you'd like to share with us, or can you go to the break?
I think
I actually have a question. Despite not speaking Portuguese, I think this is a really good initiative. So is there any way I can help?
pardon. Sorry.
Despite not speaking Portuguese, I
Yes.
think this is a really good initiative. So is there any way I could help?
Yeah, sure. We can actually get in contact, and we can because our foundation is not only for Brazil. So there's people from South Africa, and they speak English as well, which is also a good opportunity.
Okay, sure.
And so the other thing you can do is try to figure out which institution in Singapore is helping the hard of hearing people, and then you just go there and ask how it can support. And on top of that, you can try to understand what they are doing in Singapore that can be used in Brazil and South Africa as well. Maybe they have some techniques or software or some tools that have worked really well, and people in Brazil have no idea. So you can help them adapt to better techniques and new solutions.
Yeah, to expand the foundation, make it well known as well.
Okay, that's a good suggestion, Marcelo. I'll go look into it.
Okay, so I suggest then we pass word back to Natasha and Alexei so you can organize a game break. I don't know exactly what you plan to do now.
Can you break us into 2 breakout rooms? Wait, hold on a second real quick.
Do you have enough people for 2 breakouts?
Yeah, but I just have to check with Alexi real quick.
Wait, do you want to do 2?
Because not everybody here is going to join. Huh?
I think she's going to
do
just
one, I think.
Yeah.
We can do one. Because we're only 11.
So should it stay on the session, or you want to have the separate break room?
I mean, it might just, for the introductions, we can stay in the big room, but for the game, I think we might just have to split up into 2 groups because it's going to be a lot if everyone's playing.
Okay, so let me know. I'll create 2 groups automatically and move one of you to the other group if you end up in the wrong place.
Okay, so before we do the breakout rooms, you're just going to do the introductions. So we're going to start off with everyone's just going to say their name, their age if they want, where they come from, and then we're going to play a quick game of 2 truths and 1 lie. So you're going to basically say 2 truths about yourself and then 1 lie, and then the other people are going to try to guess what the lie was. Sleed, you want to go first? You're muted.
Sure. My name is Suli. I'm 13 and 2 truths, 1 lie. I'm in first one. I'm in Malaysia. Second one. Second one is I like the color black. Third one is I'm excited to be here.
Wait, what was the first one again?
I'm based in Malaysia. Malaysia.
Does anyone want to take a guess?
Anyone who doesn't know the answer.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
exactly.
Or you can always time out and come back to Sula later. So maybe you go to the next person now.
Okay, Mark.
Well, my name's Mark. I'm 13. So I play handball. I don't like sweets, and I like sweets, and I play the piano.
Anyone want to guess?
Oh, there's a
Piano.
piano being played in the background.
Oh, yeah, that's my sister.
Right.
No, I don't like sweets, so that's the lie. Yeah.
Very uncommon for a 13-year-old. And well done.
Not that uncommon. There's a lot of people.
Good.
Is it Giordano or yeah?
Hello.
It's Giordano, but you
Jordan,
can call me
okay, sorry.
the way you want. All right. So what? How many questions?
Well, say your name, your age if you want, where you come from, and 2 truths and 1 lie.
And what?
2 truths and a lie.
So they're
Oh.
gonna have to say 2 things that are true and 1 thing that is not true, and they have to guess which one is not true.
Ah, okay, okay. So my name is Giordano Pivovac Araújo. I'm from Brazil, and I'm 13 years old. And 2 things that are true and 1 that is lie. Okay, so I like maths. I compete in the swimming team in my city, and I compete in my judo team in my city. Which one is lie?
Swimming?
You're right. You guessed it. So that's it. Any more questions?
So we can go back to Sully if you want to guess hers, because
I mean, I know hers, but I'm not gonna say it unless if
Giordano, Paola, maybe Paola can guess, and Sully, you can repeat your answers. Oh, your 3 statements.
1, I'm based in Malaysia.
Yeah.
2, I like the color black. 3, what's the third one? Anyone remember the third one? What's the third one? What's the third one? What's the third one?
You live in Malaysia.
No, that was the first one.
Oh.
Oh,
What
that's
was
the
the
answer.
third one? I forgot what the third one was.
You're excited to be here, you said.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to be here.
So Paola, do you want to
it's
guess?
not the third one.
I think she doesn't like black, the color black.
I actually do like the color black. I'm based in Singapore.
Yeah, so not so far from Malaysia. So maybe now it's Paola's turn, and she's
Yep.
the last one from the list.
My name is Paola. I'm 14 years old. I come from France. And 2 truths and 1 lie. I would like to be a vet. I compete in my swimming team. And Um, and I don't like sleeping.
Do you like sleeping?
Okay,
Yes,
so you are not in your swimming team.
yes,
your-
I am.
Oh, you are.
Any teenager in their right mind would like sleeping.
Yeah, that's that makes it easier, right? It's physiological. So growing up, you sleep more. So guys, that's it. You have 9 minutes until the next session.
Is Mikhail Travis a speaker or
the speaker? So he's talking
Okay.
later on.
So I mean, now that we're less people, I think we can just do the game here.
Oh, good idea.
Okay, I'll send the link real quick.
That's what I did this morning.
Yeah.
My morning.
So Mark, your background is actually in front of you. You're not appearing in the camera.
I think this is him doing his magic. He just like disappears.
I sent the link in the chat, so
Anyone who wants to play charades can go to the link in the main chat group chat.
So Marcelo, yesterday I saw a video about Switzerland and how they kept neutral inside the Nazi state. So everyone was dominated by the Nazis, and they were neutral. And one of the things that they did for keeping neutral was they built a lot of bunkers. You know any bunker near your house?
There's one 5 minutes drive. They're everywhere.
Whoa,
I can
very
send you a few
close.
links. But Giordano, I can send you the stuff later. Try to join them and play the Scriblio because that's the play break. But I'm glad to send you lots of information about Switzerland and bunkers and Second World War. I have quite a few of those. So can you see the link in the chat? They should all be there now.
Should we start?
no, we're still waiting on one. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna start the game.
What? What is this?
It's like an X and Y table.
It's a diagram.
Oh,
Dude, you just said the word.
Maybe one of you can share your screen so that it appears for everybody, even those who didn't join.
No, but then someone's like word will be like
Yeah,
out there.
not when you're playing, that's true.
Diagram was the easiest. There was one Morgan Freeman. How would I draw Morgan Freeman?
I don't even know who Morgan Freeman is. I'm sorry.
An actor.
Like,
What?
I was playing this yesterday or the day before with my mom and her work, so it's a word that was played there.
What?
Ah, now your mom knows it as well.
I've never seen something like this in my life.
Something to do with.
Oh.
Oh. I don't. Okay, I'm just. It's a musical instrument. Yes. Good job.
Yes.
Wait.
It's a musical instrument.
Well, yes, but I don't know what it's called.
It's like the thing that looks really cool.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know what it's called.
It's a piano without the hammers.
What? Oh.
Who's Speedy Vilks?
Mark.
Yeah, okay.